Okay, Mother. I'm showing a picture here of you on a beach with some other ladies, and I believe you're a lifeguard here. You're one of the first women lifeguards. I think you were the first. These ladies, you and these ladies were the first lifeguards on Sydney, Australia. And I think you're about 18. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get going. But anyway, we're going to talk about this picture about you being the first lifeguard. And we're going to talk a little bit about your dad, too, because I know he didn't want you swimming, but you did anyway. So, here we go. Tell me about you being the first lady lifeguard. What do you remember about it?
In the team.
In the team. There was a bunch of you, or, 5 or 6 of you.
Yeah, we were well photographed that day because we had to perform. And the surf South Coco was a real rough beach.
South what?
South Coco.
Curl?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a very rough beach, but we had to perform to get our license.
You're talking about rough as in the waves rough?
Yeah, rough.
Rough waves? Okay.
Rough surf.
Yeah.
The surf was up, as they used to say down there. The surf was up, and it sure was up that day. But we had to do our thing, and one girl went in with a cap on, the strongest swimmer. She went in first, and we had to help her out through the waves like this. And as the person out there seeking help, which they always put their arm up. Anybody that needed help out there in the ocean put their arm up. If they did it and they were only teasing or anything, they could get fined, so they never fooled around. They needed help. Anyway, she grabbed them and started pulling in, and we had to go like this, underneath, pulling them in, bit by bit, so as we didn't drown them. Anyway, finally we got them on the sand, and then we had to do CPR on them, which we did. And we got our license that day. That was good. And then we had to take a march. They had a big deal that day. Everybody marched. All the other surf teams, all up and down the coast, were there. We had to march too. So it was a fun day. I liked it.
Did you do any lifeguarding after that? Or
No,
was that just something they did for...
That was just for our license. No, we was quiet. There was plenty of others around to do it for us, believe you me. So anyway, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of publicity out of it.
Well, that's because you're the first woman to ever do it.
We were, pictures were in the paper all everywhere. So anyway, that's another one of those things that I've forgotten about.
Yeah, well, turn around over this way and look into the camera. Just roll your chair around a little bit. So, well, your dad didn't want you swimming, did he?
No, he told me I could do anything but swim.
No.
And anyway, I was already swimming, so I was with the legs and arms, as I said, the North Sydney Swimming Club down there by the bridge. I already went down there every day.
Yeah.
I went to school, and then after school I'd stop by there and swim.
Yeah.
And somebody stole my costume at one time. This is a funny story.
Your swimsuit.
My swimsuit. Well, we used to call them costumes. My brother had brought it back from America. He was working on the ships as a bellboy. And he went to, what's the place up in Canada?
Ontario?
Anyway, he pulled in at one of the ports.
In Canada?
in Canada.
Yeah, I've got some information on Ancestry about that, so I know where you're talking about. I just can't remember the
That's the
name.
lady that stole my costume.
No, about where he was stationed or where he pulled into.
Oh.
Him working as a bellboy. I've got some information on that. But never mind. Get back to the swimsuit, because your swimsuits were made out of wool, weren't they?
No, not necessarily.
Oh.
Whatever. Cotton, wool.
Well, I know that on the last video you said that swimsuit you were was red and it was made of wool.
That was velvet. That was a thick.
Yeah.
But
So he buys this nice.
one that I had was elastic, and it was beautiful, and it had stripes, and I really liked it. It was different. You know, people would look at it, ooh. And anyway, I had that swimsuit stolen from me. And one day I was down at the swimming pool, maybe a month later, and I looked up, and there's my swimsuit walking around. You call them swimsuits?
Yep, swimsuits.
That it was just walking around on somebody's body. So I thought, hey, there's my swimsuit. It couldn't be another one. So I went to the manager, Mr. Foote, his name was F-O-O-T-E, in his office. And I said, he knew me well. And I said, Mr. Foote, somebody took my swimsuit about a month ago, and I see it walking around today. And he said, do you? And I said, yes. He said, can you positively identify it? I said, yes. And he says, how? I said, because I had a little hole in the back. I sat on a nail, and I said I pulled a little hole in the back. And I went to sew it up at home, and I didn't have any yellow thread, so I used red. I remember telling him this. I used red thread to sew that hole up. So he sent one of his, whatever they call them.
Helpers.
Yeah. To go and get the girl and go and change his swimsuit and hand the swimsuit over. So anyway, I was waiting around outside, not knowing what was going on. And he called me back in, and he said, you were right. He said, you have proof this is your swimsuit. He says, it's got a little hole here, and it's sewed up with red thread. I said, well, that's my swimsuit. I said, my brother brought it over for me. And I said, I knew it from the beginning. So he made her, he said, tell the girl to go and get dressed and leave. And to hand him the swimsuit.
So you got your swimsuit back.
Yeah, I got my swimsuit
Yeah.
back.
And you were, you know, as a little girl, and you taught Mark, Scott, and I how to swim. But I think you were probably one of the first persons to develop teaching babies how to swim before their time. Because I don't think any of us remember swimming. I think you always had.
Just plucked up and thrown in the water.
Yeah, but we were babies. We were infants when you taught us.
We were down Sailor Bay. That's where we used to. My neighbor, Mrs. Hab, used to take Pidgey and Eleanor and Fred down to Sailor Bay. And just throw us in.
Yeah. I don't ever remember learning how to swim. I just always knew how to swim. And you used to put us on your back and take us underwater.
Yeah, so make you open your eyes to see what was under there.
Yeah.
That was what that was for.
We would go swimming up in Warm Springs in a little pool. And I don't know whether you did it with Mark or Scott, but you did it with me. And we'd just get on one end of the pool, and it wasn't a big pool, you know, but I'd have to hold my breath all the way across underwater.
25-foot pool.
Yeah, it wasn't very big, but it was enough. And you would put us on your back, and take us swimming all the way across the pool. So one of my most favorite places was Warm Springs.
Well, that's because the water was warm.
Well, it was just a nice place to go. So anyway, we're going to wrap that up. That's about Mother being one of the first lifeguards, women lifeguards in Sydney. And there was lots of pictures of her.
There were lots of beaches too.
Lots of beaches, lots of pictures. They were photographing her at that time. So I just thought I'd share that. It's just a little story. I know your dad didn't want you learning how to swim, but we're going to talk about your dad here in this next video. I want to talk about him because I'm afraid if we don't talk about him, then it's going to be gone. Well, yeah, he died in the year I was born. But anyway, say bye.
Bye. Bye, Dad. Bye, everybody.